Hi everybody, I'm Victoria Weather Meteorologist Ryan Henning, and I am going to be bringing you a road trip forecast for the route from Fargo, North Dakota to Providence, Rhode Island. It's going to be a 3-day trip, take up the full 3 days. It's going to be about 537 miles a day at 67-ish miles per hour. Weather's going to be not too shabby. So even when you start in Fargo, it might be a little bit cooler than you'd like it to be. But just like this picture here, it's going to be clear. There's not going to be any snow falling. There might be a little bit of light snow up there right now. I know northern Minnesota is seeing a little bit of light snow lately, but it's warmed up enough here that it's already all gone. So I think Fargo might be in the same boat. If you've ever looked for a picture of Fargo, it always shows the Fargo Theater on it, just so it can have the words or the name of the town, I think, right in the middle of the picture. Otherwise, you'd have no idea what town you're looking at. But here's downtown Fargo. I've been a few times. My brother went to school up there, so I know the town well enough. I actually used to live in Minot, but that's a little bit further off into the weeds in North Dakota. It's way up there. It's a lot lonelier. Fargo's right on the Red River, south of Grand Forks, which had some serious flooding several years ago, like in the 90s, 99, I want to say it was. Same river. It was because they got a ton of snow, and it's one of the rare rivers that flows south to north, and it just accumulated before it got to the Rainy River, and it was a bad situation there, but nothing of the sort right now. It looks pretty good in Fargo, like I said. So we're going to be taking that blue route that Google has put forth for us. You can see 24 hours of driving, which means in an 8-hour day, it's 3 days of traveling those 1,610 miles. We'll go through the Twin Cities, Chicago, Toledo. We'll pass just south of Cleveland, and then north of New York City, along the New England coast, up into Providence. So that's the route. And while we're on this map screen, before we start looking at the actual weather for our trip, we'll be stopping in Chicago and in Snowshoe, Pennsylvania, which is kind of in that northwestern, right about there where it says drag to change route. So our forecast for Monday will cover Minneapolis, Madison, and on to Chicago, and then our Tuesday forecast is going to cover the eastern Great Lakes towards Pennsylvania, and then finally Wednesday up into the Mid-Atlantic and southern New England. The good news is, as we begin our voyage, there's not really a whole lot to contend with for day one. We can see a pretty significant system brewing off the coast of Washington. There's a weak little wave moving through the central Appalachians, but we can see these red lines on the map here, and those are representative of the thicknesses. And the thickness it kind of tells you the temperature through the entire layer, not necessarily what's going on exactly at the surface, but it is pretty indicative of what's going on at the surface. And conveniently enough, meteorologists think like you do. So blue means cold, red means warm, although maybe the temperatures are a little bit cooler than you would find to be warm. But when they're ridging or kind of making that hump like they are in the Rockies, that's going to tell you that there's going to be some warm air advancing. So you can see that crest of that wave is moving into the plains. Not worried about this. This is already Tuesday morning. So if we look just through our drive time, this is the NAM, this is the GFS. Looks like a little bit of warm up in the Dakotas. Still going to be fairly chilly as we drive through the Twin Cities into southern Wisconsin and on towards Chicago. We're actually going to end up in Hammond, which is in Indiana, just to the southeast, near Gary and those fun parts of the world. But we're going to be smack dab under that cool high pressure. It's going to be mostly clear, very easy drive, unless you're going to hit Chicago around rush hour, which actually we will. So never mind. But the weather's not going to be an issue. If anything, it's going to be a whole lot of cars on a whole lot of roads. But our Monday drive is going to be fine. So we can take a look at what's coming on Tuesday. The GFS doesn't actually populate with any of that precip that the NAM does. So that kind of indicates to me that it's going to be all having to do with this warm advection up towards the western Great Lakes. A lot of clouds, maybe a little bit of light drizzle. It's going to be very spotty, even if it does pop up if we get a late start or something. But you can see to the east of there through northern Indiana, northern Ohio, and western Pennsylvania, we have nothing to worry about. Area low pressure moving up the Gulf Stream has kind of drawn away moisture from New England. That ridge of high pressure that we were parked under literally on Monday night is going to be shifting towards New England. So we have another pretty decent day of driving, and that southern end of high pressure, it's not going to be as effective in keeping clouds out of the area. So I do think there's going to be partly to mostly cloudy skies as we move through the area, especially in the Toledo area where there might be a light west wind off of Lake Erie, which could enhance the cloudiness of the area. Because at the base of that high pressure, it's going to be east to west winds as opposed to the westerlies that we're probably used to in our everyday weather observations. But again, it's just a few clouds, nothing to really be worried about. The traffic isn't going to be bad at all. We're not really going to hit any of those hot spots. It is turnpike most of the way, so that's going to cost us a little bit of money, but we're also going to make really good time across that part of the world. So that's pretty nice. It's interesting that our day where we left from Fargo and cut through Minnesota and Wisconsin, we're going to see more major cities than when we go through Ohio and Pennsylvania. But I guess that's what Dwight Eisenhower wanted when he put together the interstate system. So what are we going to do? So our final day, we're going to see even the GFS latch on to that developing cold front off to our west. And you can see there's quite a bit of cold air coming in behind it through the western Great Lakes. That could mean our boundary is going to light up as a thunderstorm-rich cold front, especially during the daytime hours when there's a little bit of warmth to the atmosphere. So that's going to move into Ohio and Pennsylvania. And this trough axis kind of thing here is going to start pulling in some moisture. You can see there's a little bit of a green blob here Wednesday afternoon in the New York City area. I think it's not going to be that refined, the NAM. I think it's going to be similar to what we saw on Monday in the upper Midwest. I think it's going to be spotty showers, overcast conditions. I don't think it's just going to be confined to downstate New York. I do believe it's going to be a potential concern for especially the afternoon when, again, there's a little bit more warmth in the atmosphere. And onshore flow in southern New England, especially when we get to Connecticut, if there's a little bit of moisture, and particularly since there isn't a great warm-up ahead of this cold front, don't be surprised if there's low clouds and maybe even a little bit of fog as we drive through Connecticut. It's not going to be too bad, I don't think, in the Poughkeepsie area and where we cross the Hudson. But again, once we sneak a little bit closer to the coast, so like New Haven, Groton, and even onto Providence, I would be a little bit wary about the chance for some fog and low clouds, especially as night settles in at about 4:30 or 5 because of the stupid time change. But it looks like that cold front's going to be kind of working its way through. It's not going to be a very big rainmaker as it does pass through, but it is going to saddle the area with those low clouds and a little bit of drizzle. But maybe by the end of the week, you'll see a nice sunny sight like this, downtown Portland, another town I've been to, and it's very nice. Brown College is right downtown, and it seemed very, very serene when I was there. I don't know, I wasn't there very long, I was pretty young, So I guess you'll have to go to Providence to find out for yourself. And that's going to do it for me. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope all is well in your world, and enjoy the weather. Have a good night.